India's work productivity is one of the lowest in the world.
Indian work productivity is poor across the board. Every global study will tell you the productivity is poor.
We spend 9 hours in the office, a couple of hours dealing with traffic, a few hours responding to messages and calls after work on weekends to get more things done. We do all this only to then be paid a minimal salary and are labeled as unproductive.
Our youngsters must say, this is my country. I want to work 70 hours a week.
You want to work 70 hours a week? Definitely not.
Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100 hour weeks every week.
I have hobbies which a normal human being should have.
When I have a shower, I think, I work. When I'm in the toilet, I think. We never stop working.
Something called as personal life too. I don't think so. You should just sort of dedicate your whole day to your work.
Celebrities have been glorifying hard work, productivity, and hustle culture.
Please look into the work ethic. They have worked their butts off. I work my butts off to succeed in my life.
While these qualities are indeed crucial to make it big in life, there are some key points that are often ignored in the mainstream. Because blindly putting in hundreds of hours will only make your bosses rich, while mentally and physically burning you out.
Founders, entrepreneurs, corporate employees, all of them are at higher risk of mental health issues like depression, anxiety.
Success is not possible without hard work, but the productivity has a very poor linkage with working hours.
I have to tell myself, stop working, because I love it so much.
So let's uncover the realities of India's professional world, exploring mental health, productivity, and the misunderstood notion of hard work. In India, people don't openly talk about mental health with the fear of being judged or discriminated. But just because we don't talk about it, it does not mean it doesn't exist. If you take a look at Reddit, you'll get a glimpse into the mental state of employees at certain companies. People are being overloaded with work, not being paid for overtime, dealing with bad bosses, and are being made to work extra hours. The company Deloitte did a survey in 2022 and found that 80% of their workforce struggle with mental health issues. A study by a mental health initiative called Empower revealed that 48% of India's corporate employees are at high risk of poor mental health. Another survey by ADP Research, where they surveyed over 30,000 people across the globe, 76% of Indians complained about stressful work environment. So workplace stress is a real issue and we have to acknowledge it.
WHO has warned that mental health will be the next upcoming, pandemic, global pandemic. And just because we do not talk about it in India, it doesn't mean that we are all immune from it.
The WHO states that this mental health burden costs Indian employers about $14 billion every year due to employee absenteeism, lower productivity, and high attrition. So instead of pushing employees to work longer hours, companies should focus on making sure that employees are content, which in turn will boost productivity. Forcing the already stressed out employees to put in more hours will only worsen the situation. With all that being said, let's shift our focus on our country's productivity.
Our youngsters must say, this is my country. I want to work 70 hours a week.
According to the International Labour Organization, Indians work an average of 48 hours per week. But this data doesn't include the time that's spent on commute. With the traffic in India, let's say you spend 3 hours per day on commute, and you do it 5 times a week. This easily adds up to 15 hours on top of the 48 hours spent at work. And if you include all the untracked time that is spent on calls, meetings, doing tasks beyond your regular work hours, people end up working way more than 48 hours. And then there's the informal sector where 90% of labor force is employed in India. These people, by nature of their job, work hundreds of hours to put food on their table. So workers from both the sectors are working way more hours than what's reported by ILO. Also, most women in India are working way more than 100 hours a week, doing household chores like cooking and caregiving.
Pretty sure that most working mothers in India actually do much more than 70 hours every week by way of work, just that they don't get paid for it.
So mandating a 70 to 80 hour work week can drive women out of the labor force.
He sat down with the German leaders, corporate leaders, and he said, we have to rebuild, and that's your job. This is exactly what Germans and Japanese did after the Second World War.
We as a country should be cautious about where we draw inspiration from.
Overwork in Japan is a real problem and a deadly one at that. There is even a Japanese word for it, karoshi.
Japan has a toxic work culture where everybody is working longer hours because they don't want to be seen as an outlier. According to a report in 2018, it's been found that Japanese people only use half of their paid leaves because of pressure and expectations of such a workaholic society. Many people fear taking time offs because their own bosses don't take time off. Because of this, thousands of Japanese people are ending their lives every single year. Also, the assumption that working longer hours will increase productivity is kind of flawed.
Success is not possible without hard work, but productivity has a very poor linkage with working hours.
In fact, it can have a negative impact on productivity. One study from Stanford University revealed that productivity per hour drops significantly after 55 hours, and putting in any additional effort is kind of pointless. So in any white-collar job, productivity should not be measured by working hours. Working smart and engaging in deep work will yield far better results than simply logging in more hours. So does all this mean that working hard and putting in more effort is kind of pointless? What about those who made it big? Didn't they work hard to get where they are? The idea of working hard has always been preached by our parents, teachers, and even the popular athletes that we all admire. But the problem is, when certain individuals like Elon Musk or Narayana Murthy advocate for hard work and putting in 70 hours a week, it kinda gives the impression that they expect their employees to put in those extra hours. This upsets a lot of young people, mainly because these big companies are infamous for making employees work overtime without proper compensation. And also, when such highly influential people make such comments, there's a chance that other companies get inspired and start mandating a 80-hour work week. So it's important for these leaders to be careful with their words. Working longer hours should be a personal choice, not something that's imposed on you. Now, if you're somebody who's willing to put in those extra hours, make sure it's valuable and contributes to your growth.
Work hard, I do believe.
Yeah.
I would say work 100 hours a week if you want. But it should not be at your office, at your job. Work on yourself.
It can either be learning to code, or exploring a new technology, or doing an online course to build your profile. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be within your 9-to-5 job. You can even invest in a side hustle that you're passionate about. There are some people who write blogs, run a YouTube channel, do fitness coaching, while still doing a traditional 9-to-5 job. So the key here is to put in the extra hours and work on things that are valuable and meaningful to you. Again, all this is a personal choice. Everybody is unique, and that diversity should be respected.
As many heads there are that many preferences of life. So everybody's on a different journey. People who want to work 100 hours a week should be allowed to do that, and people who choose to take the slow track should be allowed to do that.
Also, the over-glorification of hard work and hustling by these industry leaders needs a reality check. Successful people attribute all their success to hard work, but it's crucial to understand that there are other factors at play, things like luck, talent, market conditions, or even your financial background. Now, this is not to disregard their hard work, but it's important to understand that there are people who are more passionate, who put in more effort, and still don't make it. A concept called survivorship bias, where we only look at the ones who made it and completely ignore the rest. It creates this illusion that success is solely attributed to hard work, while totally neglecting the other factors that influence outcomes.
Don't take advice from people like me who've gotten very lucky. We're very biased. Like Taylor Swift telling you to follow your dreams is like a lottery winner saying, liquidize your assets, buy Powerball tickets. It works. Yeah. You won't.
For every Virat Kohli, there are hundreds of hardworking and passionate cricketers who don't shine because of reasons that are beyond their control. It's high time we acknowledge this and get away from overly glorifying hard work and hustling. I want to clarify that I don't have anything against these super successful individuals. They of course worked hard to get where they are. In a developing country like India, there are numerous challenges and hurdles that most people face in their day-to-day life. everybody is fighting their own unique battles. If we really want to see economic development, much of it lies with the government and addressing all the corruption at higher levels. It's about time we stop blaming the average citizen for the country's lack of economic progress.